Hey everybody, it's Paul.
And Shannon behind the camera.
Shannon behind the camera today, and Simon over here in front of the camera.
Yep, Simon's hanging out on his new cat tower.
Yep, so Simon and Shannon are going to talk about Disney World or Disney vacations today. Specifically Disney World. We have gotten a lot of comments over the past few weeks, ever since we announced that we were going to Disney World later this fall. Specifically, we had one comment. I do not remember the person's screen name, but they said they were about to start planning a Disney trip and they would really appreciate any tips or feedback because this is going to be their first trip and they really wanted to make sure that they do it right. So, first of all, this is a disclaimer for you. Shannon and we have been to Disney World 5 times now.
Disney World, yes.
Okay, and we've been to Disneyland a whole lot of times because we used to live an hour away from it.
Yep.
That was a joke in another video, but so anyway, we have a lot of experience going to Disney World, but we by no means are experts. There are people that go multiple times a year, each and every year. We have not done that. We have been 5 times in the past 13 years.
And I do just want to say, though, that you may be an expert since you're wearing the ears.
Yes. Okay. So these ears, real quick. So I don't own Mickey Mouse ears.
No, those are my ears you stole.
Well, I didn't steal them. I'm just wearing them for the video.
Stole them.
Here, I will take them off right now.
Those are the Flower and Garden Festival special ears.
Yep. So Shannon actually has never really worn these ears. They still have the tag on them. She uses them as a decoration. But
they're display ears.
They're display ears. But I figured I wanted to get in the spirit for the video. So anyway, onward. Just to let you guys know, this video is going to be part of a series that we're going to do over. I'm going to try and get all these up over the next 3 weeks. We'll talk about other stuff in the meantime as well. It won't just be the Disney Channel for 3 weeks, but
the Disney Channel.
I have a feeling we're going to get a cease and desist letter. It won't just be the Disney planning channel. For the next 3 weeks. We'll do our normal other stuff as well, but we will try and wrap this series up over the next 3 weeks. Okay, so I have notes. That's why I'm looking down at the ground here. So today's topic, we're going to cover 3 things. We're going to cover budget, time of year, and whether you want to stay on site or off site. And if you don't know what any of those things mean, we'll talk about them in just a second, so stay tuned. So first topic of discussion is going to be budget. Going to any Disney property is not cheap. It is not for the faint of heart. I'm just going to say that right up front. Do I want to say cheap or do I want to say frugal? What would be a good word, Shannon?
Thrifty.
Thrifty.
Well, you
Shannon
used
is being
to be
polite. Yeah.
You've changed over the years.
I have changed. Disney has changed me. I've become desensitized to money.
So you can do Disney cheap.
You can do Disney cheap, but you can also end up spending a lot more money than you intended to. There are things that we chose not to spend money on in the past that I really wish I had spent money on. So we'll talk about all those things as we go along. But I just want to talk about budget for just a minute. You want to plan a Disney trip with a budget in mind, unless you are in a position where money is of no object and then you're just buying an experience and hey, go wild, tell us how it went.
Yes.
We'd love to know. But I will tell you one thing about us personally. For me, at least, Disney has always been a much better trip if we have the trip paid for. So we've never like put a Disney trip on a credit card without having the money to pay for it. Just for me, that makes me very nervous when I'm on vacation and like I haven't paid for the vacation. You may be different. I'm just telling you, for me, that's a little bit of a tip, especially with as much as Disney costs. It's difficult for me to have a good time spending that money if I don't have the money. So anyway, yeah, you need to think about the budget that you want to spend. Disney World in Orlando, you can go without spending a lot of money, and there's some tips and tricks with that, or you can spend a whole lot of money and have a whole different level of experience. Not a better or a worse experience, it's just a different level of experience. So you kind of need to understand what it is you're trying to accomplish for yourself or for your family, and then budget accordingly. Like I said, I just want to talk about that real fast, and then we're going to move on. We will talk in depth about those things and the different topics as we do it. So with that being said, the time of year that you go, there's going to be a budget aspect to that. For Shannon and I, a big part of the time of year that we have chosen to go, and our favorite time of the year is the fall. We've been 4 out of the 5 times that we've gone to Disney, we've gone in the fall. The other time was in the very early part of the year, so it'd be the winter. We went in January. So, 2 totally different experiences. The fall is great for a number of reasons. Disney has added a lot of things that we really enjoy. Number 1, they have the Not So Scary Halloween party, or Halloween festival, or whatever they call it.
Fun.
That is great for us. The fall also is after kids have gone back to school. So the parks in the past used to be a lot less crowded. Now that they're doing these events like the Not So Scary Not So Scary party, the parks have gotten a little bit more crowded. So those are things to think about. For Shannon and I, in planning our Disney trips, that was really why we planned what we planned, why we chose to visit during the time of year that we chose. We were looking for lower crowds, and the fall offered much lower crowds than other times of the year, along with very good weather. I will tell you, if you decide to visit Orlando during the fall, and when I say the fall, I mean like September, October, November. That's really what I'm talking about when I talk about the fall. That's going to be hurricane season. So you do have the possibility of running into bad weather. It happens rarely, but it can happen. Of the 5 trips that we have taken, we had bad weather 1 time, and that was for 2 days.
But the last trip we took, we flew into Disney World a week after the hurricane flew out of Disney World that closed Disney for a day or 2. So
yeah, and just so you know, it was like nothing had ever happened. You would never know that they had a huge storm there a week ago.
Beautiful.
It was just beautiful. So you do need to think about the time of year that you want to go. If you go in the beginning of the year, like January, February, March, that's a great time of year to go also in terms of low crowds. You just have to be aware of spring break. And you also have to be thinking, the time that we went in January was the coldest time on record in Orlando in like 100 years.
So that was not a budget trip, because we actually had to all buy Disney hoodies because we were freezing. Yeah. Shannon mentions a good point. Actually, that was a budget trip for us. It was supposed to be.
We intended it to be, and because I kind of did that, I kind of dictated what we spent at that time, and also money was a lot different for us then. I learned a lot during that trip about what to spend money on and what not to, and I feel like our trips after that were a whole lot better. So that's something if you're going during those time of year, you're going to have to pack different clothing options, because you just don't know what you're going to get when you get down there. We thought it was going to be much warmer than it was going to be, and the weather prediction was for much warmer weather. There was a cold snap that moved in, it got really cold, and we had to buy warmer clothes. And we weren't there for very long, so we ended up buying a on Disney site, and it got to be very expensive to do that. So, time of year. So we talked about the fall, we talked about the winter. Let's talk about the springtime. Springtime is great. I've read a lot of positive things about the springtime. I've never been to Disney World during the spring. Shannon and I are hoping to do that soon. Not this trip, but soon. There's a lot of cool festivals there. There's the marathon, if you're into running long distances. We have a car, so we don't do that. I'm teasing about that. I know that a lot of people are into the marathons, and I'm not trying to offend anybody.
If I was going to run a marathon, it would be at Disney. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. I think they're really cool. I've seen pictures of them, and there's a lot of cool exclusive merchandise for the marathons, but that's just not my thing. The marathon brings a lot of people to Disney World. So you need to, that's something, if you're going during the spring, make sure that if you're looking for lower than normal crowds, make sure you're not going to be there during marathon time or spring break. You really kind of have to plan around that.
And I'm sure Paul will get into this in future videos, but there are a lot of websites you can Google, and they have crowd calendars. So they do predictions for you, and they're pretty accurate.
They're pretty good. One note with that, Yeah, Shannon brings up the crowd calendar. That obviously you can plug in the dates that you're going to go and figure out. But any research you do on Disney World, make sure that you're looking at information that is up to date, because we have noticed a big change just over the past couple of years. So make sure you're using your search engines tool that will allow you to. I would only look at Disney World information that is in the current year, because a lot has changed over a short period of time.
Yes.
So make sure you're not looking at something from like 2012.
Yeah, that's gonna be totally different.
Yeah. So okay, so springtime, beautiful weather. You can do a lot that Disney has to offer then, but you do have to be aware of some crowd issues. And then we're gonna get to summer. I have been to Disney World during the summertime. My family has never been during the summertime. No. I would never in my lifetime go again to Disney World during the summertime. I know that there's a lot of people that do. Some of them really love it because they really like the hot blazing sun and long lines. I don't.
But a lot of people, because of school schedules, that's when they have to go. And that's okay if that's when you have to go. You just have to know it's going to be hot and crowded.
You do. And I want to bring up, we'll talk about this right now, but we'll talk about it more in other videos. We're talking about Disney World, but we have also done Universal Studios. Of course, SeaWorld is very close as well. Those parks, quite a few of them actually reach capacity during some of the summertime months. During the busier times during the summertime, they can reach capacity, and you may not be able to even get into a park or an area of the park that you really want to. Like the Harry Potter area of Universal Studios reached capacity many times during the summer a couple years ago. The new Avatar Land, Pandora, I think it's called, in Animal Kingdom for Disney, has reached capacity when they first opened. I think this summer, being that it's the first summer, it's going to reach capacity.
And that's not, Paul's not talking about just to get on the rides. That's just to get into the area of the park. It's like a one in, one out kind of deal. So you have to wait in line just to get into the area.
Yeah. So anyway, summertime is its own special little thing. That's something because Shannon and I have the flexibility of our schedule and our kids, we're not in a traditional school calendar. We were able to go during the fall. I know that not all families can do that, and some people like going during the summer because it just lines up with schedules, or they just like the summertime weather better. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just you have to plan accordingly for that and then understand it's going to be a different experience than if you went during another time. All right, last thing we're going to talk about in this video is whether to stay on Disney site or off. Once again, we have done both. We have stayed off-site when we've done Universal Studios, and so we've had kind of that experience, and we've stayed on-site when we've done Disney World. Also, when I went the one time during the summer a long time ago, I stayed off-site, and that is two totally different experiences. My recommendation, and it's just strictly our opinion, if you have the budget for it, staying on-site would be the way to go. Staying on-site is a little bit more money. I will tell you that. Well, it could be a little bit more money. It just depends where you're staying. But overall, I think that staying on-site costs a little bit more money, but I think the benefits that you get make up for it. A couple of the benefits are these. There's extra magic hours. We'll talk about those a little bit more when we talk about the parks that you want to visit, but each day there's a park that's going to open early, and there's another park that's going to stay open late. Those are called extra magic hours, and those are only for guests that are staying on Disney property. They can go to those parks. So that's a little bit of a benefit that you get for staying on site. You also get the use of the Disney bus systems, which I think are called the motor coach system. You get free parking. If you rent a car, or if you drove to Disney and you decide to drive your car, you get free parking at all of the theme parks. So if you are staying off-site, that's going to be like 24 bucks a day, I think. So that's something that where you might save money on a room staying off-site, but now you have to pay $24 per day to go park, plus the gas.
Plus, some of the off-site resorts charge parking at their hotels as well per day.
That's right.
So you're double paying for parking. You're paying at your resort and at the park.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that, Shan. The last thing that I have written down for big benefits, and this really for Shannon and I, this is the deal breaker. This is why we only stay on Disney site, is you can make reservations 180 days in advance. That's a very important number. We're going to talk about that in depth later on. But you can book 6 months in advance before your trip for Disney dining. I'm not talking about the Disney dining plan. I'm just talking about making reservations at your favorite restaurants at Disney World. And for us, we have learned in our trips that that's kind of like the highlight of the trip for us. We love being at Disney World. We love the atmosphere. We love doing the stuff. But really, kind of the memories for us are when we eat together and just the different experiences we've had with that. Like I say, we'll talk about the restaurants. Probably that's going to be 1 or 2 different videos. But unless you're staying on Disney's property, I don't believe that you can book 180 days in advance, which, just so you know, what that means is if you want to eat at one of the popular Disney places, you're not going to be able to get a reservation. And the popular Disney places, they book up. They don't allow walk-ups.
And this is just for the sit-down restaurants. You can, of course, always eat at the walk-up counters in the parks.
Right, but like so...
like the character dining meals.
The character dining meals, yeah, like Be Our Guest, just as an example, which is the Beauty and the Beast themed restaurant, which is probably...
beautiful.
Yeah, that's definitely one of our top 3 restaurants. It's just gorgeous. The food's pretty good, but the atmosphere is just gorgeous. You are not going to get a table at Be Our Guest unless you're booking 180 days in advance. We booked 180 days. I was online at 6 a.m., 180 days out, and I was not able to get some of the reservations I wanted at some of these places. Like I said, we'll talk about that a lot more in the dining video, but
so if anybody from Disney is watching, we need a Be Our Guest reservation, please.
We do. Contact me and let me know what I'll tell you what day we need it for. So yeah, so those are the benefits of being on site. Also, the resorts are just awesome that are on site.
Yes.
The pools are amazing. The pools of the off-site places that I've seen are kind of and I like pools. So having a nice pool is kind of a big deal for me.
Also, if you stay on site, everybody in your party gets a drink cup that is refillable at the resort. So, what?
I believe that's only if you buy the dining plan.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
I'm giving you bad information.
Yeah. If you have the drink cup and you stay on site, you can refill it at your place.
Yes.
That's all, but you can buy the drink cup.
You can. Yeah. And then you can get coffee in that. So parents that need some good coffee in the morning, you can get hot chocolate, your sodas, juices. It's worth it.
Yeah. So anyway, the on-site versus off-site thing, that's a matter of personal taste, but just bear in mind that your budget is going to, you're going to need to take that into account when deciding. For Shannon and I, even for a budget option, we'll give you plenty of tips with that. I would definitely stay on site. Look at the all-star resorts if you need a budget option. Probably the best value, just in my opinion, is what are they called? The Port Orleans. There's 2 resorts. There's the French Quarter, which is my favorite, and there's the Riverside, which is Shannon's favorite. Those are both, in my opinion, the best value that Disney offers. They're what's called a moderate resort, but they're the lowest price moderate resort.
And they're beautiful.
They're both beautiful. They have a neat setting. They have a neat feel to them. And yeah, I think you just get a lot of good benefits with that. But if you like staying off-site, you could easily do that. You could put together your package however you want. So anyway, yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. This has gone a lot longer than I intended it to be. I figured I'd just be able to zip through these things real quick, but there's a lot of information. I hope that I kind of gave you just a little bit of things to think about. If you have any specific questions, please leave them in the comments, and we will try and address them as we go on. Like I said, we're going to talk about each topic kind of in depth, and yeah, so that's just kind of what we'll be doing. So just let me know what topics you definitely want me to cover and what questions you have you need answers to, and we will try and get to those as we move through this series. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. Please leave it a thumbs up if you did, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.